And we are live. So I thought I would do two of these today. I am caught up on all my client work. I have not enough footage from anyone to do a vlog. Like six of them are already uploaded on private. All my client spreadsheets are caught up. I've already done half my GPP for the day. So I'm like, let me get in and just get in this morning since I don't have any other work I have to do. And, do a live stream this morning and see how it flows through the morning. And I'm probably going to do one this afternoon, anyways. I'll announce it. And I want to compare the difference and see how it gets views. But, I'm free at the moment. So I thought, let's just do one. But, a reminder for the people who chime in later, which is where most of the views happen, please remember to subscribe down below. Please use my Amazon affiliate link and join my channel down below. You can get a membership to be one of my orc warriors. And follow me on Instagram and Facebook. All right, got all that social media. And remember to click like on this. That's the important thing too. Like and subscribe. So we'll see how this flows. Now this is filling up slower than afternoon or late morning ones do. It's just before 7 a.m. here. Normally I've got 15, 20 people in here by now at a minute and a half, and I have 4. So we're going to chill. We're going to give it a few more minutes. I need to shave my neck. Just realized I turned up my beard yesterday, but I need to shave my neck. It's looking scruffy. And my head, I got to touch that up. Got to see all the stubble coming in. Got to get my beautiful bald head looking aesthetic with my cranium aesthetic for you guys. I need to shave that up later today. All right. Maybe put some turtle wax on there. Give it that shine. Right? All right. People are finally flowing in, up to 11 people with an unannounced off one on a different slot than I normally do. I mean, remember, guys, this will be part one. This will be part one. I'll do one of them. I'll probably put it up later. Again, the time that the next one's going to come up. Hello, good day. Do you like doing trap bar deadlifts? No, there's a reason it's stuck in this back room. No point in trying to sell it because it would draw trolls in trying to harass me at home. I may throw it in the dumpster. That's really almost the best place for a trap bar. I don't have a lot of use for them. Only reason I'm keeping it around is I might use it for weighted carries when I get a house. Right, move out of this condo. No, I'm not a fan at all. Not a fan at all. It doesn't work your low back as well as a conventional deadlift. Therefore, you don't get as strong on it. Right? It works the glutes and hamstrings and everything like a conventional, but it doesn't work your low back effectively. And that's the reason people like it. Oh, it puts less stress on the low back. That's like saying, I'm not going to do chin ups because they put stress on the bicep. I'm not going to do bench press because it puts stress on my pectorals. Do you see the problem with that logic? Right? You see the problem with that logic? Trap bar is going to leave your low back weak. And I think it's an injury prone piece of crap. Like it's hard to balance at the top. That's an injury risk. And there's no, it brings nothing to the table that you don't already get from a conventional deadlift. I shaved my head before mimicking my bald, but I look like a goblin. Not everyone has bald aesthetics. I know, right? I've got good cranium aesthetics. I do have that going. I may not be the prettiest man in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but at least I got that going. Do you think people can squat twice a week instead of one squat, one deadlift day if I don't give a shit about deadlifts? No, Jerry. I think you need pulls from the floor. You need some sort of hip hinge. You say you don't care about deadlifts, but you better care about your posterior chain and your back. So what are you going to do to train those? Are you going to be in balance? Because if you only squat and you don't do hip hinges, don't cry when you tear hamstrings later when you're running or jumping. Don't cry when you tweak your low back. Right? Don't cry when you have injuries from squatting due to the imbalances. So if you're not going to deadlift, what are you doing in place of it and why? What's wrong with deadlifts? We come back to that point. Why do you need to squat twice a week? Plenty of elite squatters only squat once a week. Guys who squat 900 and 1,000 pounds raw be squatting once a week. Okay, you do those things, but here's my question. What's wrong with using deadlifts to do it more efficiently? Because I have clients who do all those things. I have clients who do cleans and snatches, who do good mornings, and guess what? They still deadlift. Like there's no reason for you to avoid it. If you want to maximize size and strength, there's no reason for you not to do the deadlift. Like, why wouldn't you? You know, people get these ideas at the big three. Well, I don't want to do this one of the big three. Well, why? Do you think that you're going to get some magical benefit by throwing it away? Do you think you're somehow going to get better results or you're going to be stronger? Well, that's not how it works. There's a reason. I've got videos coming in the feed and I put posts on why the big three, because they're popular movements of why we should base our training around them, you know, almost irrespective of goals. Or queries, I wasn't notified of this. I wonder why. Russell, I don't know how notifications work. I've never been notified of anything in my entire life on YouTube. So I don't actually know how feeds work because I don't use that feature. I do all of my YouTubing from the Creator Studio. So I've never seen an announcement for anything ever in my entire life. So I don't even know how it works. Jason, I've been watching since 2014. Keep up your resilience. Thank you. I just don't like the exercise. I'd go as far as saying I hate them. I've been trying my best not to do them. But coach, if you think they're absolutely necessary, I guess I'd add them in. I mean, no lift is absolutely necessary, but I've made pretty compelling arguments for why we should base our programming, no matter what sport we compete in, around the big three. And it has to do with the amount of coaching data we have on the biomechanics data, the strength standards we have, because they're three massive lifts that pretty much use every muscle in the body other than the biceps when combined. And because they are the contested lifts of the most popular, by far most popular strength sport. Keep in mind, powerlifting has more competitors than every other strength sport on earth combined 3 times over. So we have enormous amounts of data. We have enormous amounts of coaching data on them, biomechanics studies, EMG studies, everything on the big three. So because of that, that makes them valuable exercises because we can perfect them because of the data we have. That the popularity makes them valuable. Haven't said this yet, but thank you for the priceless free information over the years, man. This channel is fucking gold mine. Deserves 1 million subs easily. Hope you never stop killing it, dude. You know, I appreciate that. I always have Louie and Emma always tell me that in Skypes. They're always like, Jason, your channel should have 1 million subs because they've been so impressed with the results they've gotten as clients. You know, and I'll just keep it growing. It's going to pick up, I think, as I continue to compete more and get leaner. Because that look, guys, unfortunately, it sells. So as I keep cutting down to get more and more competitive and to make weight easier in the 90 kilo and break some more records, because world records next. I'm going to break the deadlift world record next. I already knocked down 3 state records. I'm going to break my own state records again at my next meet here in Texas easily. And then, you know, knock down some world records and get leaner. My channel will blow up and I'll get more people. And then I can help more people. Also, client vlogs. I have 11 people now who want to vlog who are clients. You guys are going to get flooded with this stuff. Thoughts on squatting every day, for example, Clarence Kennedy. You mean Clarence Kennedy? Said he squats every day and other Olympic lifters. Olympic lifting is different. No, I don't recommend you squat every day. Do you remember my Bulgarian experiment? I did this for 7 months straight on camera. I am stronger on the squat now at a much, much, much lighter body weight. I am stronger on the squat and I hurt less and I feel better than when I was doing squatting every day, Bulgarian style. So no, I don't recommend it. All it does is peak you a little bit at a very high price. Thoughts on doing good mornings from pins set at belly button height for singles? I don't know about singles. Are you using the good morning as a max effort movement, or are you using it to build muscle? And from pins, so you may have, well, actually, none of my vlogs have it. I do have clients who do good mornings from pins. When we do it from pins, we're trying to emphasize the back more. When we do it free floating in the air, we're trying to get a stretch reflex in the hamstrings. So that dead stop makes it a little more back dominant. So that's the reason you do that. Jason, I have to make a tough career choice soon. Couldn't sleep much last night due to it. So I'll try to take some naps throughout the day if I can. That would be a good idea. Should we look at the fat-free mass index or normalize fat-free mass index for calculating our goals? I don't know. You will break. Adam, you're about to get banned for being stupid. You know that, right? Will you break the Thors? Adam, powerlifting meet legal deadlift for my class. Okay? That's not even a powerlifting meet legal deadlift. And the guys would be open class and weighs over 400 pounds, not 198 age over 45. Hey, actually, I'm just going to ban you now for being a fucking idiot. That's it. You're done. Hide user. There you go. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't abide that level of stupidity. I try to be nice in these things, but sometimes people write stuff that's so stupid that I just can't. Should increase my GPP work on deload week, or should I keep it the same? Deload week, you need to reduce it. Hey, coach, feeling a bit lost with box squats at the moment. Not sure where it should be compared to my regular back squat. It feels absurdly weak in comparison. Any ideal ratios? About 5 to 10% less. Can you please explain how you're doing this new 5-3-1 cycle? Well, it's not really 5-3-1, is it? Basically, I'm going to ramp up with singles, although I'm going to repeat week 1 because, again, I took basically 2 weeks off from real training. I've got to get back into the flow, so I'll repeat week 1 twice. Basically, instead of doing volume ramp ups, I'm doing singles at 80-85% first to ramp. Then I'm going to do triples at 3 at 90%. Next week, we would do 2 at 95%. Next week, we would do 1 plus at 100% of training max. I have set my training max as the lifts that I hit at this last meet because I didn't max out at the meet. Okay, I didn't go 100%. And since my goal is to PR at every meet, I'm going to use whatever meet lifts I hit, I'm going to use them as my training maxes unless I hit a true grindy max in comp. And these were easy lifts. Right? So that's what I'm going to do. Coach, what's the average age of all your clients? I don't have the mathematical ability to give you that answer. I would need to take 29 people, put their ages in, and I guess add it all up, each individual age, and divide it. I couldn't tell you what that average would be. I can tell you at the moment, my age ranges are 18 all the way up into their late 50s. I lost my 62-year-old. He feels like he doesn't need coaching anymore. So I guess my age range now is 18 to 58. That's my range, but I don't know what my average is. How do I become a client of yours? You message me on, if you look underneath this video or any video, there's a link. There's a link that takes you to my Facebook. Message me there and I will get back with you with all the details. Coach, when I stopped eating red meat, I started getting injured. Is there a correlation? Possibly. What's the best book to learn conjugate programming? If you want to learn all of it, you need to buy all the West Side books. You probably need to watch all of Louie's lectures. Watch all of Matt Winning's lectures. Matt Winning's stuff is invaluable. And you need to spend the next month reading articles at Elite FTS. Thoughts on knees over toes method for rehabilitation? I don't believe in it. Jason, what do you think about sled dragging with a belt around your waist like West Side guys? Any extra benefit or just down to preference? It might be easier as far as less axial loading. And I think dragging it around the waist is perfectly fine. I think it's good. I've actually thought about getting a harness that goes around my waist also, but I've been pretty comfortable with the shoulder harness. I think it's preference, but there may be some slight recovery advantages to around the waist. Jason, on a 3-day D, on off days, can we do calisthenics for volume? Also, can, for example, how about you stop writing your own programs? How many people have you coached? Don't write your own programs. Now, if you want to run any of the proven templates that are out there, can calisthenics be used as part of your supplemental work? Absolutely. I do it. You see me do pull-ups and glute ham raises all the time, right? I think they're great. You see a lot of my clients doing dips. Right? Calisthenics are fine. Just remember that they're hypertrophy movements and treat them as such. Alexander, thank you so much for all this information. You're welcome. What's your opinion on lunges, Coach? I think lunges are a good supplemental lift to squats if they help with your weak links. I have clients who do lunges. I have clients who do split squats. I don't think one is better than the other. I think that if you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? If you want to change things up, going from split squats to lunges is good. But I don't really think lunges or split squats, one are better than the other. I think they're fairly interchangeable. Any experience with Bill Starr's rehab protocol? Nope, never even heard of it. Jason, you already asked me that about the calisthenics. Placeholder said Westside Podcast is also very good. Yeah, that's not bad. Why do you claim natural when you aren't? It's disrespectful to true naturals. Actually, I'm going to ban you. I'm going to ban you just for being like that. Bye. So that being said, people who know, I'm having fun with it. Everyone else claims natural, and you don't go to their channels asking that. How many of you guys go to Alpha Destiny, Michael Hearn, Kinobody, all their channels and call them out when they claim natural? Why don't you guys do that every day? Exactly, because the whole industry claims natural. Anything, and you have to pretty much just to be recognized. And I'm having fun with it. Anything in specific I can do to help with recovery from injury. I have pain in chest. It's not pulled, just keeps coming back. No, I don't have enough information to help you there. Pain in your chest, I don't know. Might be a heart attack. Have you considered seeing a doctor? Maybe it's not muscle related. Maybe you're overusing your pecs. Maybe your training volume's too high. Maybe you're trying to do 20 sets for your chest every week. Well, that's going to cause you problems. Is it required to do additional mobility work and stretching if a lifter can perform all the lifts with full range of motion? Nope. In fact, I'd argue it might be bad for you. Mobility is sport specific, okay? And flexibility is sport specific as well. You don't want to be more lax than your sports require. So whatever sport you're planning on doing, and if you only lift weights in the gym, that is your sport for all purposes. Being more flexible than is required can increase your risk of injuries. It needs to be based specifically around what you're going to do. There is no, hey, more flexibility is better. That's not how it works. Jason, is an Orc Warrior a light armor two-hand build? What's your favorite class to play as? I guess it would depend on the game. What's your current stance on warming up before working out? I don't really warm up. You guys have watched me deadlift over 600 pounds without really warming up. My only warm-ups, sometimes I jump on a box for 3 reps before I squat. Sometimes I do some reverse hypers before I deadlift. I do some medicine ball throws before I bench, like it's a 10-rep set. And then I go straight to the barbell and start ramping up. Jason, when I first started going to the gym, I did random exercises, and in 2 months, I got like 5 kilograms of mass. And now I did your Ice Cream Fitness 2.0. My strength went up a bit, but I started to plateau. Like, you went up like your body weight or your lifts? Like, I don't have enough info. You need to follow the programming as written, and you need to be bulking. If your weight gain stopped, then you need to add calories. It's pretty straightforward. Do normal straps reduce range of motion? Not necessarily. Hi, Jason. Can you give your opinion on below the knee rack pulls? They're a specific exercise that's context specific in their use. I don't have an opinion because it's a supplemental lift. Either you will benefit from it or you won't. Either it addresses your weak points or it won't. And if it doesn't, then it's a waste of time and you're beating yourself up for no benefit. If it will help your weak points, it's a good exercise. Jason, what's your thoughts on boring but big lifts on different days? Okay, Mark, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's getting buried. I answer this in every podcast. I tell you guys not to do it, and Wendler tells you guys not to do it in his books and his articles. So if the author's telling you to do it, and then someone like me who has coached people on it's telling you not to do it, why would you think it's a good idea to do it? I mean, I don't dislike Brandon Campbell, but quite frankly, who the fuck is he? Why does he think that he knows more about the system than people who coach full time? I don't know. Does Brandon coach? He's on my friends list, but I haven't talked to him in like 7 years. So is he even coach? Or is he just a guy who likes to lift and make fitness videos? So if he's not a coach, why in the fuck would you listen to something he has to say about a program? Okay. That's a bad idea. But no, it doesn't work. Don't do it that way. Do you think you'll be lifting into your 60s and 70s? I hope so. How do you count dynamic effort sets towards total workload for the week since the weight is much lower? I count them as half sets, but we get to a point where we just kind of go, does it even matter? All right. If you're going to be that exact with counting work sets, maybe don't run conjugate, just run straight sets. But I count it as half sets. So a certain amount of tension is most likely beneficial in your opinion. I notice my squats feel worse when I do extensive mobility routines beforehand. Ditch them or keep them. No, drop it. It's not helping you. Hey, Jason, speaking of calisthenics, can high volume, low impact calisthenics replace cardio like jogging on off days? No. Because calisthenics is GPP in that context. It's not list cardio. So you can't replace one type of cardio with another. It uses a different energy system. Closed grip chins or closed grip pull-ups for forearms. I don't think closed grip is ideal for shoulder health to do too much of. And why would the grip width matter? They both build forearms, although overhand grip is going to build forearms a little better than underhand. So you need to do pull-ups if you care more about forearms. Chin-ups are for biceps. How do you deal with wanting to work out more than 3 days a week, even if I know it's counterproductive? Maybe see a therapist. Go see a therapist for your exercise addiction because you actually have possibly a mental illness. Get it under control. And here's a question I would ask, John. This is a thing I ask a lot of my clients. Do you want to do what you want to do? Like, what's more important to you, having fun or winning? Like, do you want to have fun or do you want to get results? I want to get bigger and stronger and more competitive. Therefore, I'm willing to do things that I don't want to do. So that's what you need to ask yourself. What's more important to you? Fulfilling your exercise addiction obsession to get to the gym more? Or is getting gains more important? You're going to have to just pick one. And once you pick one, then follow that route. If you want to train 6 days a week and you're willing to accept that it's going to beat you up and you're going to gain half of the muscle that you would have gained training less, but you get to fulfill your urge to work out all the time until you break at least from it, then accept that. And you accept that you're shooting yourself in the foot. But at that point, here's what I'm going to say. Maybe talk to a therapist about your exercise addiction because that's what it sounds like the problem is. Hey, Jason, you said once that straps change the strength curve on the deadlift. What do you mean by that? They changed the bar path. It's common sense. Go do a 500-pound deadlift with your hands and then do a 500-pound deadlift with straps and tell me it doesn't change the bar path and feel different. It requires no explanation. Just go do it one time and you'll understand. It's a different movement. Wondering about any large ideas you seem to disagree with on West Side winning stability equate warmer. I think the winning warm-ups is definitely on the list of things I don't agree with. And I think winning has the best overall conjugate information. It really does for longevity. I think the winning warm-ups are silly. I think they're counterproductive. I think you would be better just doing GPP after your training and doing normal training. I had a substitute teacher named Mr. Blaha in the 6th grade. He was super chill. I thought it was cool when I first discovered your channel after that, but I kept watching for knowledge. Yeah, I mean, there's actually 8 Jason Blahas in the United States. There's 8 people with my full name. And unfortunately, some of them have been harassed on social media by trolls purely because they have my name. That's how stupid people are. One of them had even contacted me years ago. Hey, are you the YouTuber guy? I'm being harassed by your trolls. Are sending me death threats and threatening my family. And he clearly doesn't even look like me, but just because he had the same name. Should I do some of your hypertrophy specific workouts if I started to plateau on ice cream fitness? No, if you plateau on ice cream fitness, you need to go to intermediate programming. Jason, what got you interested in lifting? I really not want to get into all that again. You guys kind of know my backstory. And it's too much to explain. And it's largely irrelevant. I mean, if it's keeping in mind, guys, I'm 45. I started lifting over 20 years ago. Does it really matter? Because my motivations today are not the same as they were back then. Best exercise is to get that golden error look. Basic lifts. Those guys didn't do a lot of fluff. They just did basic exercises. They didn't use growth hormone and insulin to get big bellies, and they didn't get as ripped. I mean, it's not that complex. Do you think Sarms are safe for healthy adults who does not abuse them? I think steroids are safer than Sarms, and they're cheaper. Coach, is closed grip rows bad for shoulders too? No, the line of pull is completely different. Why would you think that? Like biomechanically, we're talking about vertical versus horizontal pulling. So no, it's completely different. Completely different. With supplemental work, but then again, you're not going to do a closed grip row. How are you going to do that? It's not even possible. Your chest is going to get way in the way. With supplemental work on 5 through 1 boring with big, do you think a leg focused squat day and posterior chain focused deadlift day is the best way to do it, even if you do sumo deadlift? Yeah, probably. Scott Mendelson, a good source of bench advice. I don't know. I've never seen his bench advice. But just because someone's broken a record doesn't mean that they're a good coach. And that's what people need to remember. Just because someone is a great athlete doesn't mean they're capable of coaching others, right? Does anyone go to LeBron James for basketball coaching? No, they go to whoever coaches LeBron James. Should be common sense at a certain point. But I don't know what Scott Mendelson's information looks like. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if Scott Mendelson is even a coach. I know that he's been a world record raw bencher. He's a hell of a bencher. But does he coach or not? So if he doesn't coach dozens of other people, he only knows how he got there. And he has freak genetics and, uses liters and liters of anabolics. So you don't necessarily know that he is a good coach or not unless you see what his athletes are doing. And I haven't looked into that, so I couldn't tell you. You'll have to do that on your own. Pulled 450 after taking a year off from deadlifting. Realistic hit 500 in 2 months? Probably. Coach, thanks for answering my question. Also, a 3-day bench deadlift squat does like 10 sets per body part. Is better than 12. Yeah, honestly, I think 10 to 12 sets is probably your optimal, even once a week. Right? I mean, that's how a lot of my guys train. Look at Isaac's vlogs. Look at mine. Do you read books every day? I don't read books every day. I read articles and studies every day. Which is kind of like when people say, Jason, can you cite studies? Guys, I've read 57 studies last week. I don't keep a record of them and save them on a clipboard, the links. Coach, was the best exercise for bigger delts? Your basic movements. I mean, here's the thing that people forget with delt training. They get caught up in this idea that delt training itself is what's going to make your delts look bigger. You just get leaner, your delts are going to get bigger. There are plenty of guys who don't even do direct delt work who have big delts just from basic movements and getting lean. Right? The fatter you are, the smaller your delts look. Just get leaner. Now, I could argue that things like lateral raises, snatch grip, high pulls, upright rows are all great delt builders, rear delt flies, mainly focusing on the rear delt more. But you could still get big delts without doing any of those, and they're going to look big even if you get lean. Look at Martin Birkin. Look at what he was doing with the lean gain stuff over a decade ago. He literally built his delts with bench press and chin ups. And because he walked around at like 8% body fat year round, and I'm not saying you should do that, he had round capped delts just from those movements. I don't care about Alpha Destiny BL. No one cares. Does he coach anybody? Is he a coach? He's just a YouTuber. Therefore, I don't care about what he does. And that's not a good deadlift. He needs to keep working on it. I mean, hey, it's a start. But he's a healthy young man who's been training for like 10 years or more. He shouldn't have a 500 deadlift. Okay. I mean, his bench and his deadlift are within 100 pounds of each other. That's messed up. Thoughts on CrossFit. My coworker invited me yesterday, and it wasn't extremely good for GPP and conditioning. It is good GPP. That's what CrossFit is. It is GPP. And the fact that it's random and you don't know what you're doing when you get there makes it true GPP, because there's no programming. That's what GPP is. So it's great for that. Is doing sets of incline bench and then some overhead press too much for the shoulders? Depends on how much total volume you do. What do you think are the best assistance and accessory lifts to increase the overhead press? Overhead pressing and tricep work. Assistance. Do you know what assistance means? Similar movement. So any close variation would be good assistance, or even doing overhead press for high reps is assistance work. Like doing 5x10 with overhead press would count as assistance if you're unaware of that, because you're not doing heavy work. Accessories are movements to hypertrophy the muscles that do not share the movement pattern. So tricep work, direct delt work, direct trap work. But as far as which ones are going to help you, it's going to depend on where your weak link is. Coach, I am in special forces, grease and running every day between 5 and 10 kilometers. What kind of split would you recommend? 300 bench, 4 or 5 squat, 5, 10 deadlift. Why don't you just have a squat bench deadlift day every week and keep your running up? Any self-improvement tips for younger guys? Avoid drugs and alcohol, avoid porn. Those things are all going to hurt your self-improvement. Train. Focus on building your mind. Focus on building your career. Focus on not squandering money on useless stuff. Right? That's what I would recommend. Humans are the top S tier build according to Tier Zoo. I don't know what any of that means. All right. Seems like a lot of taller guys with long legs tend to tip over in the squat and turn it into a good morning when the weight gets heavy. Any tips to fix this? Wider stance. Take a wider stance to fix this. Quit trying to do shoulder width squats if you're a tall guy. I currently work up to 3 singles at 90% on 1 rep max a week on both the deadlift and log clean and press. I find lifting fun this way. Would you recommend this long term? No. No, I don't think you need to be doing multiple singles at 90%. I don't think that's ideal from a recovery or a programming perspective. Can I include snatch grip high pulls in my barbell complexes for GPP? Sure. It's barbell complex. Throw whatever you want in. It's GPP. What would you advise a 25-year-old guy to focus on in life? What would your advice be? I don't know without knowing more about who you are. You could listen to the tips I just gave above. Do you believe that there's some exercise inherent more risk, like behind the neck presses and rack pulls, are just fear-mongering by Athlete X? No, some exercises have higher risk than others. I think above the knee rack pulls are stupid. Like from a training economy perspective, it's probably the worst exercise you could imagine. On boring but big, how would you know when to raise your training max and when not to? Is a certain number you hit your top set you want to hit? Yeah, when you can get like 3 or 4 more reps on the plus sets, it's time to raise your training max. Another guy's asking the same thing. It's all based on how much the lifter is lifting. I base it upon how many reps they're getting on the plus sets. It's not a fixed number. Hey, coach, I'm around 20% body fat after cutting from 25 over last year. I'm decently muscled but relatively weak after a year of lifting, 39 years old. I can do pull-ups at 866 pull-ups, still worth doing them. Yeah, it's worth doing them, but those reps are a little low to get the best benefit out of it. Ever thought of becoming a programmer, or can you program? I don't even know what programming entails. I know what the word programming means. Like, it's people who write programs for computers, but I don't know what it actually is. So I don't know if I can do it or not. It has something to do with zeros and ones. That's all I know. They type zeros and ones on a screen somehow, and it magically creates all this code that we have. That's the extent of my knowledge of programming. I've never actually watched someone do it. Had a bad deadlift day yesterday, even though I ate well and felt recovered. It really messes with my head when I have days like that. It makes me like I will never get as strong as I want to. Why did you have a bad deadlift day? What's wrong with your programming? Do you ever watch movies? Of course, I watch movies. Do you find deadlift bar makes a big difference in your pulls? If so, what weight do you notice it? I find it's easier to grip. I'm not actually stronger on a deadlift bar. Like, I don't pull more weight personally on it. And it's because I am fast off the floor and I have big quads. So therefore I don't seem to get an advantage from it. If you're slow off the floor, you'll get a lot more from it. Do you take pre-workout subs? Any recommendations? No, I think pre-workouts are actually bad. I've made videos explaining why. I think that they're counterproductive and you shouldn't take them at all. These days, I don't even do caffeine pre-workout. I eat food. That's a lot of cool equipment in the gym background. How much money would one need for a gym like yours? I have about 30,000 US dollars in my home gym at this point. I know you like 10s for hypertrophy, but what about sets of 20 for stuff like goblet, squat, dips, rows? No, sometimes I do that. You've seen me do 20s on pull-ups, haven't you, Morton? You've seen me do sets of 20 plus in the morning when I'm fresh. You've seen clients of mine do 20s on goblet squats in their vlogs. So given that you have seen it on camera, what do you think I think about it? Coach, on 3-day split, squat, bench, deadlift, on off days, can we do some calisthenics, bring out more volume like dips? No, it will impact recovery. You're running that much every day because of the special forces thing, right? You don't need to be doing resistance training more than 3 days a week. Stop. You're going to burn yourself out and you're going to have to retire from your job early, or you're going to be beat up and banged up the rest of your life afterwards. Jason, is there a specific reason why my bench is lacking? My 1 rep max squat is 385. Deadlift 431, max bench is around 235. I hit 5 reps with 100 pounds on weighted dips. Well, it's either your technique or your muscle mass. Either your pecs and triceps need to get bigger. Keep in mind, you may not be gaining weight quick enough. The bench press is the most correlated with body weight out of all the big three. That is what studies have shown. So maybe you're not gaining weight quickly enough, you're not eating enough, or it's your pecs and triceps are lagging. It's that simple. Or your technique might need some work. What's your bench look like? Do you know how to bench correctly? Do you know how to stack your wrists correctly? Have you filmed yourself to see if you're stacking your wrists? Do you know how to arch correctly? Do you set up tight? Do you pull the bar apart so that you're locked in on your eccentric rep? Are you doing all that stuff? Those are the basics. What's your technique look like? Is it bad that I did 1 cup of whey powder nearly every day for 2 years, never tried pre-workouts or creatine? No, why would it be a problem? 30K, are there diamonds in those plates? No, add it up, Luke. Go to all the rogue websites and start adding up everything that I have. I mean, my plates alone are several $1,000s. Just my plates. Keep in mind, I have 500 pounds of calibrated plates, and I have over 500 pounds or around 500 pounds of the competition bumper plates. All right. I have $4,000 just in plates from Rogue. How bad is tight hamstrings on a deadlift, and how do you create hamstring tension on the deadlift? I don't really understand your question. If my squat and deadlift are about the same at 450, would you suspect posterior chain weakness if grip isn't an issue? I suspect you're squatting higher than draft pussy. Your squat's high. Now, if you're talking 600 plus and you're a fatter guy, that explains it, but not 450. you're squatting really high. I think that's what's happening. Film it and check it yourself. I think you're going to find you're like 6 inches above parallel. All right, that's your biggest potential issue. And if not, then it would need to be assessed. I would need to look at your lifts to determine what their weak point is. I would need to see them on camera. And I do charge for that. It is an option if you want to set up a consultation for it. Can I do a 5-day split if the 2 extra days are full arm days? Why would you do that? Do you want tendonitis in your elbows? Do you want to tear a bicep? How different is squatting with a bar versus a regular power bar? Oh, with a squat bar. It's just sturdier. Right. And the main thing that I noticed, you hit the plates less easily on the safeties and stuff. So like with a power bar, I have a bad habit of banging the plates on the safety arms sometimes because it's narrower. The squat bar is wider and heavier. Luke, all his plates are calibrated. Look at the specialty bars he has. Look at his racket attachment. He has a lot of equipment. Yeah, I mean, I legitimately have 30,000 in my home gym. Like I'm not exaggerating. If you guys were to actually add all of it up and go check websites, you'll see that I'm actually being serious. Do you think you can make a decent home gym with 2.5K for the starters? Oh, absolutely. Dude, $2,500 will build you a great starting home gym. You don't have to have all the stuff that I do. I don't use over half the stuff that I have at this point, but I have it if I ever want to use it. I basically decided I built the gym with the idea of anything that I would ever possibly need to work around any injury or angle, that I would have it already there. If you had to pick on what you would choose, weighted neutral grip, chin-ups, or bent over rows with an axle bar, well, if it's neutral grip, it's not a chin-up. So you made up an exercise that can't possibly exist. It has to be supine to be a chin-up. You mean a pull-up. Pronated or any sort of pronation is going to be a pull-up. A chin-up means underhand grip. So that exercise doesn't exist. Or bent over, if I had to pick between the two, I guess, why would you have to pick though? Why don't you pick the exercise that meets your needs right now? That's what you should pick. But if I were to say general building, probably the neutral grip pull-up would be slightly better. Although those rows with an axle bar will build the hell out of your grip. All right, so if my box squat really sucks, do I just have weak glutes? Do I need more glutes? I don't know. I would need to see your lifts, Tim. For me to answer that question, you need to set up a consultation and film all of your squatting. It's the only way I can possibly answer it. There's no way otherwise. I would just be giving you a make-believe answer and lie to you. I mean, like, should you feel your hamstrings on the deadlift? I feel my entire legs on the deadlift. Me personally, I feel my glutes, quads, hamstrings, everything on a deadlift. And they feel like they were beat with a meat tenderizer as soon as I finish the set, if it's a heavy set. So yes, you should definitely feel your hamstrings. You should feel your quads. You should feel your glutes, right? If you're pulling remotely heavy, you will feel all those things. Are heavy dumbbell Romanian deadlifts a decent replacement for good mornings? No, because a good morning is a very diverse tool. The Romanian deadlift is more specific. So you can't replace a versatile tool with a more specific tool. I get pulled forward once I break the floor on the deadlift. Any tips on fixing this? Pull your lats in more, tuck your lats in your pockets, and get the bar closer to your shins. The bar is too far forward when you pull it off the floor. How do you keep that power look when cutting high volume deadlifts? That'll help. Yeah, it's awful hitting the rack on the walkout. Yeah, exactly, placeholder. That's one of the perks of the squat bar. It's longer. How many sets are your advanced clients doing on arms? Luke, you need to be specific. Arms is more than one muscle. About 10 to 12 for biceps and triceps. Sometimes less. Some of them don't need that much. How do you progress my wide grip pull-ups? I can do 5x5 with 1, maybe 2 in reserve, but I can do 5x10 wide grip neutral. You're just going to have to get your back bigger. You have to get stronger. A lot of times you guys ask questions on things like that. How do I get better? more time under the barbell. You're going to have to gain more muscle. You're going to have to keep training the lifts. There's no magic secret to something like that, like getting better at rep work on a pull-up. There's no magic secret. You're just going to have to keep training and see where you're at in another year. This is a long game. Right? There's no replacement for time under the iron. That is your magic secret, is consistency. Work hard for 10 years straight. There you go. That will solve half of the questions you guys have. Why do you hate lat pull downs, and do you still recommend Pendlay rows? Luke, I've answered that in a few of these already. I recommend Pendlay rows only for lifters who don't do high volume deadlifting. We can't row off the floor or with tension on our or stress on our low back if we're doing high volume deadlifts. So it really depends on what's going on in the program. I hate fat pull downs because they're for people too weak or too fat to do pull-ups. Okay. Therefore, they're a noob exercise. And therefore, they're probably not useful because there's other things we could do to build our lats and back more effectively, like rowing deadlifts, inverted rows, if we're not strong enough to do pull-ups yet. If you do wide stance, good morning, is there any need to do sumo deadlifts or wide stance squats in order to become strong at them? Yes, you still need to do them if you want to become strong at them. Jason, congratulations on your meet results for hypertrophy 5x10 at 50 to 60%. Well, PM, thank you for the congratulations, but you already know the answer to that. What do you see me do personally, and what do you see my clients do? We do 5x10 at 50 to 60%, depending on how advanced they are. That's what we do. You're not doing 10 reps at 80%. It's not possible. There's no way you're doing that. And you're definitely not 3x10 at 75%. You really think you're going to do that? I want to see it. I want to see your max squat, and I want to see you do 3 sets of 10 at 75%. Do it on camera. You're only a really, really, really weak guy can do it. If you have a strength base already and you have a decent squat, there's no way you can do it. It cannot be done. Coach, is it okay if I alternate supinating my left and right hand on deadlifts for each deadlift day? Sure, if that's what you're comfortable doing. Coach, I have pretty long chicken legs. Quads and glutes are the worst part of my body, and I feel like I can only go to grass. Is that a problem? Well, I don't fully understand your question, but if you have long chicken legs, and do extra leg work, right? Do some goblet squats or leg presses or belt squats. Do that after you squat. Get your legs up. Hey, sorry, I'll rephrase my question. Weighted pull-ups or axle rows for increasing my deadlift, currently stuck at 200 kilograms. Again, Oliver, it's going to depend, because I've done both. I don't think you need weighted pull-ups. Do bodyweight pull-ups. It's going to depend on what your programming looks like. It's going to be that question is very context specific to how much deadlift volume you were doing. If you're doing lower volume deadlifts, I think the axle rows would be really good. But if you're doing any sort of deadlift volume in your programming, the pull-ups are going to be the better choice. So again, it's very context specific. We can never everyone wants to take these individual parts of their training instead of looking at the training as a whole. You can't look at the individual pieces in isolation. You have to look at the totality of your training program, and you have to look at the overall training response and fatigue of everything that you do in a week and in a workout. Hi, Jason. Nice to see you live. Assuming a person can only train twice a week, would you still recommend a push-pull or I don't know what I would recommend for twice a week. I still might say squat, bench, deadlift, and just space it out. Or an upper lower. Is 5-3-1 effective when cutting, or is there a better way to maintain strength during a cut phase? That which gets you big will keep you big and strong when you are cutting. You may have to reduce volume slightly when cutting. Jason, is it okay to scrape your shins a little bit on the deadlift because you have to keep the bar close? It's probably okay. I don't scrape my shins, but I also have my deadlift technique dialed in absolutely perfect. A lot of people notice that. I even got told that at meets. A couple of the coaches are like, your deadlift is beautiful. So I don't have that problem, but if you still don't have a completely textbook, perfect, beautiful technique for your leverage is that you figured everything out down to the half inch, it's permissible. I feel triceps on chin-ups. Any reason why? Yes, because the long head gets put into a deep stretch position on chin-ups. Whether there's a training response from that or not is subject to a great amount of debate. It's subject to debate, but it absolutely does stretch the triceps very, very hard. Does being 6'2" and 210 pounds with advanced numbers good for a natural athlete who's also running every day? Should I bulk to minimize gains to 200 or something? The muscle gains aren't significant. No, dude, that's great numbers. 6'2" at 210 with advanced numbers, drug-free, especially with running all the time, is fantastic. You're doing great, but you may need to cap stuff out. If you want to bulk and cut a little bit, do so. Just keep an eye on your overall, fatigue. Keep an eye on your overall. Sorry, the word I meant, not fatigue. Your body weight, because for you're going to have body weight limits with what you're doing for your career. Jason, thoughts on living below your means, intentionally to save and invest as much as possible? I still lift and eat well, but I don't really spend. So I think that's great, humanity. That's the way to go. I literally get trolls who are like, why do you live in a condo? Why don't you drive a car if you're making certain amounts of money? And I'm like, because I want to be rich one day. I don't squander my money. Why gym equipment so expensive these days, and does it take time to have the equipment you have? Yeah, it took me a long time to build this gym, bro. Are you a certified coach? What does that even mean? Internet drug for yes, I am YouTube natty and Instagram natty. I'm cutting. Is it okay if I only do the 8 sets of squats and deadlifts a week to maintain lower body strength? Probably fine, but I might add some extra posterior chain work. Yeah, exactly. Someone's a certified. Who cares? NASM will certify anyone who pays. Yep. Certifications are a piece of paper you jump through. My coaching is the results of my clients. That's all that matters. Most of the best coaches in the world, and I mean the best in the world, don't have certifications. Do you know why? Because they don't need to. Do you think Boris Shako has certifications? Do you think Louis Simmons has certifications? How many world record holders have they coached successfully? They're the best coaches in the world. They don't have any certifications. Certifications generally means that you don't know shit and you need something on a piece of paper to try to convince people you do. That's the only reason you get one. Results are what matter. And I have multiple 600 plus pound deadlifters. I have girls who deadlift over 300 pounds. Right? That's what matters. Coach Jason, people often expect intermediate results with strength training. How long do you typically see people need to stick with a workout routine to notice strength gains? What do you mean? My clients see strength gains in 1 to 2 weeks. I have clients who PR year round. Watch Isaac or Brett's vlogs, for example. Isaac, one of my advanced guys. He PRs every single week, and he's an advanced lifter on no drugs. What do you mean how long? You should be seeing results immediately. If you train with light weights for a couple of years and you want to jump to more heavy weights, are the more chances of injuries? No. Harold, no. Will you ever go back to TRT, say in 20 years? I'm not answering those questions. For added context, Kevin, let me put it this way. I just broke untested Texas state records. I'm about to break an untested world record in the deadlift. What do you think the answer to your question is? You think anybody winning is on TRT? You think anyone who's big and jacked is on TRT? You've lost your fucking mind. For added context, I'm currently training 2 times a week, floor press, deadlift, and snatch grip high pulls. And 1 day at overhead press, log clean in the press, and pull up on the other day. That's too complicated for me to follow. Okay, is there benefits on flaring toes out instead of forward on the deadlift? Yes, the bar clears your knee easier. You can keep the bar pulled in tighter. BL, look at my stance when I deadlift. Heels close together, toes out. Notice how smooth and fast my pulls are. It's not a coincidence. The toes out helps you through that transition past the knee because it gives you an extra inch of clearance that you can keep the bar further in without hitting your knee. Is there benefits? Oh, sorry, that's what you just asked. Likely to get a 225 overhead press by getting very strong at close grip and incline bench without much specific training? Possibly. But here's the thing. Do you care about a 225 press? Like, is it important to you? If a lift is important to you, you need to train the lift. But here's the question I would ask. How important is that 225 overhead press to you? It's not a contested lift. Like, nobody gives a shit what you press. It's the only sport that tests it doesn't test the strict press. They test a weird variation of the push press. They allow you to cheat. It's a tiny sport that no one's in. So here's the question I would ask you. Why do you care? Is it that big of a deal? If it's really important to you just for personal reasons, though, then you need to train the lift. Jason, is fortified food like total cereal okay to add to your diet? I've noticed there's a lot of vitamins and minerals. It's still sure I eat plenty of whole foods. I mean, fortified foods are good, but I mean, you're eating possibly a lot of table sugar and stuff. Jason, is the barbell row or the chin the best back builder? I think pull-ups. Barbell rows if you want more low back, but we go back to deadlift. I could make the argument that deadlifts plus pull-ups, not chin-ups. Because pull-ups work the back a little more. Chin-ups are a bicep exercise that also works lats. Keep that in mind. They're really a bicep exercise. But if you wanted total back development, higher volume deadlifting replaces the benefits that rows have. So really, I think pull-ups plus deadlifts is the best combination you could probably do. But I think rows plus deadlifts works also really well, but it's going to be dependent upon how much deadlift volume you're doing. So again, we come over to that point. You're trying to pin down something in isolation without looking at the totality of your training. That is the wrong way to look at training. How was your vacation, Coach? Well, it's about the same as all my vacations. I do 8 of them a year. Is tuna bad if you eat every 2 days? Errol, go to the FDA website and look at safe intakes for mercury on tuna. There's charts, there's calculations. You don't need to ask me that. You can do the math. And this will probably be the last one. I'm going to wind this down because I'm going to do a second one of these later today. One of my orc warriors. I don't know why you hate the overhead press these days, Coach. You saying that you didn't benefit at all from getting to a 225 overhead press. No, I don't hate it. It's just that my body hates it, and it's not a contested lift. At the end of the day, if we're going to care about strength standards, we need to care about strength standards on exercises that are actually done by lots of people for maxes. In other words, when we're testing, if you're looking at your maxes on anything else besides contested lifts, you're kind of trying to mask your own strength. And I'm not saying the overhead press is a bad movement. I like it. I actually like the overhead press. I have clients who still do the overhead press. I just don't know that it's that helpful. I don't know that it brings anything to the table that the bench press doesn't do for you better. Okay. And that's kind of my point. Just from a fatigue, a hypertrophy, everything else. Right. So, it's a complicated topic. It's a complicated topic. I don't like it personally because my shoulders can't handle it. And I've had other clients whose shoulders can't handle it. But if a client loves the overhead press and they want to do the press and they have the shoulder mobility for it, I'll program it for them all day long. And I'm more than happy to have them do it. But understand, it's not a contested lift. No one gives a single fuck what you overhead press. There's no real records in a real sport on it. We don't have a large pool of data to compare you with other people. Your classic lifts tell you how you stack up. You know exactly how you rank compared to tens of thousands of other people in your same demographic. Okay. And there we go. Emma's in there appearing. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I'm going to do another one of these later today because I'm completely caught up on client work, but I do need to eat and get some other stuff done. So I'm going to shut this one down. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys next time.